like when I go up north, many times I'm walking, oh, a handful of this, handful of that, handful of this. I'm not hungry by the end of the day. I've been nibbling all day. You know, no big sit-down dinner, but I've been nibbling all day. What'd you have? Oh, I had gooseberries, I had partridge berries, I had blueberries, I had raspberries, you know, and then we stopped and we made a cup of tea, so I had sweet ferment tea on top of that, you know, so I'm okay for now.
I remember Grandma Grace looking at every face in a faded photograph. Recalling every name and why that day they came for a picture by the tracks. Where a bridge was rising round the bay, 2,000 feet of trestle lay ahead. And they thought they could see clearly what the future would hold. But the land, it has paid dearly for their thirst after gold. And now where will we turn when our wealth, it is all spent? This world, it is not ours, it is lent, borrowed from our children. Borrowed from our children.
Anyway, so.
So did you know the word Métis growing up, or did you have other words?
No, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. I just kind of knew that, I always knew in my heart that was First Nation, that I was, you know, because I for a long time, I could stop my own pain and different things, and I could see different things, and I have to show you my tree. I usually hug a tree and listen to it. It's amazing. It talks. Like, it doesn't talk. It has noise. Well, the same as you put your ear to a shell, you can hear noise. Well, the tree is the same.
Considering it's only 2 generations back from this blonde-haired, red-bearded, blue-eyed guy, these people are all Aboriginal people, quite visibly. You know.
When we were growing up in Victoria Harbour, there was 1,000 people living in our town. 850 were French Canadian, which were Métis, and we didn't dare say who we were. Didn't dare say who we were.
Other than French.
If you were Métis, you didn't get a job. That's what the problem was. And in school, they put you in the back of the room, except her. And she had to sit at first seat because she was the smart one.
And then when the inspector came, they would put me back at the back of the row until he was gone, and then they would bring me back up to the front.
I think if you talk to most Métis, they'll tell you they felt it as a kid. Okay, and when I talk to people, and certainly I felt it as a kid, you know something's there, and you know there's kind of a strong pull or a sense of something. It's just there.
Ever since I can remember, we were always told we were part Indian. You're part Indian, you're part Indian. You know, my father raised us as part Indian. I used to go to school, you know, as part Indian. I have a sister who, her nickname was Squaw or Squabby. And my father used to tease her about how he picked her up one trip over at Christian Island. And she really thought that she was this child that had been picked up on the shore of Christian Island. And that was my dad's little joke because she was so Aboriginal looking. It wasn't until my teenage years that my sister Louise and some other family members started finding out about this, we'll say, new other family, this Métis family. So it was in my teenage years that I discovered the word Métis, and that's represented being part Indian. That's what we were.
And now that we are out of the closet, we are proud. And we are being known that we are a people.
I'm happy to see that we can now share that and learn more about it, and that the young people are growing up being so excited and so proud to be Métis, and so that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing more proud Métis.
As soon as I got my card, I started contacting people. I wanted to volunteer work, and I was like in there, and it's been growing since, you know, volunteer work and meeting other Métis from other areas, and it just has a ripple effect, and it just keeps growing, and it's wonderful, just wonderful people I've been meeting, and I feel very at home, something very familiar with the people when I'm with them. And it's probably the cultural heritage and how we interact and how we behave and how we talk and the foods we eat.
It's a way of life. It's definitely my family. It means a lot to me. Food, culture, fun.
I think the Métis people are genuine, really. Not because you're Métis, but because of both cultures in our system. We're kind. Well, I think most Métis people are very kind people, and they love people. They love fun. That's the way I was brought up. Lots of fun, lots of laughter, and lots of singing and dancing, and I just wish I could jig again, but I can't. I used to be quite a dancer at one of my time. Yeah.
I really didn't know anything about the weeds. I call them weeds until I joined the Métis in 1998. I joined the Métis, and the girls decided they wanted to start to make medicines and salves and stuff, so I started picking stuff for them.
It wasn't until last year when I went to this women's gathering that I was able to go on a medicinal plant walk, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked.
Like, I'm glad that somebody taught me, like, some of the herb, because I didn't know about some of this herb, you know? Because you can't just, okay, everybody knows the dandelion, but what does it do? Everything out there has got a purpose, and you have to know, somebody's got to tell you what purpose it is.
In recent years, for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been making plant medicines. And I found out from the same older cousin that he said, well, don't you remember your grandmother used to do that? And I talked to my sister, and she remembers it. And I sort of can picture this old back kitchen of hers and things drying from the ceiling.
Last year, when it became such a part of me, it was really sad. For me, it was sad because I knew that my dad, he would have been so overwhelmed and so overjoyed to share that. So it was difficult. It was difficult to accept that, and then just know that I was learning it on my own without my dad. So it's making me stronger, and I think it's part of my drive now, because it's like, it's a passion. It's become a passion. It's something that, I truly feel, and, when I'm doing it, I'm very at peace in this past year, knowing that I might not be able to do it with my dad, but I know he's doing it with me and enabling me to share it with my kids.
A lot of times the elders tell us, you'll remember what it's used for when you need it.
Yeah.
And I've come to trust that what is it that you women call intuition? Intuition.
I figure if I get to know one new plant a year, I'm doing really well.
We have to be grateful because plants are very powerful things. They're not something to be toyed with. And when we pull a plant, we have to be careful because essentially we're ending that life. We're yanking that life from the earth. So when we're yanking that life from the earth, it better be with good intentions. We always taught is that plants have spirits, just like a human being, and a very complex one at that. Traditionally, the First Nations people had specific songs for each one of the medicines. Each one was different. And But when we address that spirit, what component or what constituent of that spirit are you addressing? For whom and why?
I also learned the importance of the tobacco and offering tobacco to Mother Earth and to the plant, and asking the plant as you're offering the tobacco to give thanks to the plant and to ask that plant to do the good that it is meant to do. I also share that with my boys. So we have a jar of tobacco that we carry, and then we'll offer the tobacco when we do that.
On our little property, which is maybe, I don't know, half an acre, quarter acre, it's surprising how much grows. I'm sure there's at least 20 things here. I go out along hiking trails and roadsides. They may get dusty and you might have to wash them quite a bit, but yeah, I'm just always on the lookout when we're out.
That's why I'm a roadside gardener. If I find it, I pick it up, I plant it. And if it grows, it's great. It's what it's meant to be. Right? If it doesn't, well, obviously I didn't pick it properly.
It's all natural medicines. Learning last year that aspirin was derivative from willow, like, oh my gosh, how amazing is that? To know that the Aboriginal peoples were the ones that had introduced willow to be able for people to make aspirin now. That's amazing.
You hear a lot of people say you should never sell medicine. On the other hand, I've read some old accounts, like dating back into the 1800s, that give examples of medicines being the most prized thing, in value, that people would trade valuable things for them. I usually make something when somebody needs it. I need it or a friend. And then you find out, well, a whole bunch of other people need that, and you make another batch. And I don't know, there's some kind of sense of integrity about it, or the educational value of it. Like, I'm quite willing to show somebody how to do it for themselves. If something really works for them, learn how to do it.
I do that too with my children now, just to teach them how to survive if need be, what to eat and what not to eat. We've got a place here in Port Colborne called Mud Lake, and when they were just little, I had those cards my mom had sent me, and I was trying them out to see if I could identify some of these plants, if they were here or not. So I showed them a few, and they knew raspberries and blueberries and crabapple trees and stuff like that. So I started them off, and I showed them a few cards, and I said, okay, now you're ready, you can survive, right? So I hid behind the bush, and they were quite small, and they're looking for me, and they couldn't see me, and they're all three of them, we're not ready, we're not ready.
Do you consider your ability to access these different plants key to your Métis way of life right now?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very significant to me in thinking about cultural revival or reclamation. A lot of it is about community and doing things together, and reorganizing our story, our understanding of history. To do any of these things that I do and to talk to others about it becomes a positive healing sort of exercise. So yeah, they're all very much a part of my life at this point, part of how I see myself.
Alan, I have another question for you. Do you feel like gathering the plants on your property now is a real, strong part of being Métis for you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to worry. They can't say I can't pick them. I own them, I can pick them. It gets me, they say you're harvesting, it's a part of picking plants. And I always thought, living in Ontario, we own the land in Ontario. All Crown land. We own it. We're taxpayers. Yet we got to get permission to pick. I don't believe that. And anybody wants to come and pick them, they're welcome to come and pick them.
I know this plant is Nemapian. Nemapian.
Nemapian.
the sturgeon plant.
Oh.
Okay, which is the translation. The leaves are always
You'd never even know
put
it's
in
there.
two, somewhat heart shape.
Where's the flower?
Right here.
Oh my.
Okay.
It's actually really beautiful.
Oh, it is. It's sort of like a rusty.
Yeah.
See, here's another one.
Yeah.
See, a rusty, brownish, reddish brown color.
Will they grow bigger than this?
Not a
No?
lot much
Okay.
bigger. All I want to do is grab a little piece of the root. Smell it. Taste it if you want.
What is that?
Wild ginger.
Oh my gosh.
Different than store-bought
You just
ginger.
eat
It's
the
very
whole thing?
strong. Very, very strong. Is she surviving?
Like berries for my family was a really big thing. Strawberries, of course, are like this big, not these huge things that are genetically altered. But raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. I used to be able to crush it and put it on toast like fresh jam, right? Instead of making jam. My great grandmother made jam, and a lot of my aunties made jam, but just freshly on bread, crushed. It was just like it was heaven.
From the time I was a child, my parents, my grandparents have always taught me, you must leave blueberries for the bears. They don't have to leave any for you. That's just the way it is.
My grandmother and grandfather would make a trip up the shore in August and pick blueberries. And they would take them to sell in Aurelia. And I remember Grandpa always coming to our place with these big baskets of blueberries for us. And that seems to be, I would think it's a trace of a traditional kind of trade route, because Ojibwe from up the shore would definitely have traded blueberries for other things a bit further, say to the Wendat people who lived here.
And trade is very much part of Métis life. You know, I mean, that's what we're good at. We're good at trade. So what do you got to trade? You know, and I think the day will come when somebody will come and say, I'll pay $100 for a bowl of soup. Say, money's no good. There's no use for it. What have you got to trade?
Like wild leeks, except for wild leeks, we'd have to go to the swamp to get those.
Yeah, we ate that. And what do you call that? Custom?
Crooked root.
Crooked root,
Crooked
raw
root.
horseradish, yeah.
Yeah.
Football. And you cut them and slice them and fry them. Wow, they were fantastic. I didn't see them any lately. But it was only one place, see?
No more else?
We did have,
Yes.
we did have.
Yes, morels, yeah. But
Yeah.
we still don't know where to get them. And people that do know where to get them won't tell anybody.
No, they won't tell. No.
It's corn, it's special corn like that, and you let it dry. They hang it up until it dries, and then they just take all the kernels off, and they put the kernels in a big vat or pan, and they make a lye and ash combination. It's an acid like that would actually peel those outer kernels off, the outer skin of the corn, and the whole thing would pop just like popcorn. Only it
stays round.
It's got a body to it.
Yeah.
It's firm.
And then she would wash it and wash it and wash it and wash it.
In water?
And then we would warm it up with a little bit of butter, right?
Yes.
Salt and pepper. That's very good.
My dad gave me a sample for you. On Navy Island, there are 9 different species of hickory, which produce 9 different fruits. But one of the interesting things about the nuts is that when they're on the tree or on the ground, they're about that big, and they have kind of a light green shell, which comes off real easy, but it leaves a stain, so you kind of want to put gloves on. But then after you take that off, when my dad harvests these, there's a hard shell, which is what you're seeing now. He has to put that in a vise and smash it with a hammer to get at the meat. It's just so hard. But the thing that I think is very interesting, he saves all these, and then when we're hunting, he's got a wood stove that we use to keep warm in the winter. burns the shell, and it throws just a ton of heat. They're great.
Well, the one thing is that Mom used to, we used to eat quite a bit of, because we used to have to go pick them, and that was the lamb's quarter, see?
Yeah, yeah.
They use that for, instead of spinach, because it's, but that's a wild plant out there.
The cattails are a source of food for animals and humans. If you're starving and you're in the bush, you can dig up the cattails and eat them like a turnip or a potato. So I don't know whether you cook them or not, eat them raw, but I guess you eat them raw, I guess. Have you ever done it? No. Why not? I never starved.
We used to call it panguizo, but that was that might have been a name that my mom gave. You know, it's because we used to take it and eat it, and it's kind of a sour taste, a little bit like rhubarb, but not really. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
But it's good, and it grows about 6 inches, and there's little leaves like clovers, and there's little wee flowers that come out. Well, you don't eat the flower, you eat the leaves.
So we have to go into the botanicals of it in order to be able to positively ID, because again, the local names can, and I was discussing this with Franz last year, or the year before, I forget, because some of the local names, she knew one plant at La Baleine, okay? I know it as squirrel tail. Her was the plant of the turkeys. I know it as squirrel tail. We were both talking about yarrow. Okay, so when we harvest those medicines, it's not like, you know, everybody take an aspirin, come and see me in the morning. No, each one, because we're all different. Our physiochemical composure is all different, you see. So it has to be geared to that specific individual, you know, and it's not something that will make it disappear overnight. You have to slowly accumulate what that plant has to offer.
A lot of these plants have anti-inflammatories, antibacterial properties, and plantain is actually listed, I believe it's on the Canadian Armed Forces list of emergency field medicines as something to prevent gangrene.
I used to have asthma very bad, and I was taking these puffers and everything else, and my bones started getting weak, and I thought, well, gee, I don't want to be taking that, so I'd rather then, okay, well, oh yeah, remember how the cedars were, and everyone said it was good medicine? Well, okay, so, oh yeah, put it under your pillow. Well, I'd put it beside my bed, and it's much better. Oh, the other one was witch hazel. My mom used that a lot. It was an astringent.
Yeah.
And witch hazel, yeah, it's getting rarer and rarer in southern Ontario. So that's one plant you have to protect.
It's comfrey, and I'm drying some right now to make some tea, and to have so that if anybody gets hurt, so I could make some compost with it, so that, you know, put on the wound, and it's good for if you give a spring.
If you boil this down and make a tea, you can drink the yarrow. It helps internally, and then you can also, I've got the stems. You can boil it and cool it down and put it on for reducing fevers. It will help to cool the skin and help to reduce fevers.
A tea with catnip, and when you had the fever, they'd put a little bit of sugar in the tea, and we'd drink that, and it would help bring the fever down.
Yeah, birch is, from day one, is a healing tree. What you do, you peel the white bark, and there's a black bark in the back. You boil that, and you make tea with it, and it's good for prostate, colon. Like a friend of mine, he had colon cancer, and he was drinking 2 glasses of that a day, and he's still living. They didn't give him that long to live, and he's still living.
You can get sap from birch as well. Did you know that? No. They in some of the medicine walk last year
she taught us that one of the one of the cleanses in the spring, the Aboriginals would cleanse with the sap, maple sap, and they would cleanse with a birch sap. They would cleanse with burdock, tea with burdock, and dandelion tea.
So if you have indigestion, you put the slippery elm. This is a native cure. You put the slippery elm into milk and you mix it, and then it's very palatable. You can really drink it.
Alfalfa, and now they grow alfalfa for the cattle now, but it used to be wild in the bush, and we used to use the roots only for medicine, and it's got so many type of medicine like vitamins and minerals, and it's one of the best thing you could, you know, for substitute is one of the best things you could use right now. That's why we buy it now, so because I don't know where to get the wild one anymore, but that's why I'm going back to nature.
Strawberries, I like, it's really, again, traditionally a women's medicine. The strawberry, the leaves on it are very good for soothing cramps and balancing hormones and things.
The milkweed was good for work. We get the milky part out of the milkweed and put it on the warts or a burn.
Yeah. Lemon balm is a plant that I have in my garden. It's a garden herb. You can make tea out of lemon balm. And it will repel mosquitoes. It doesn't seem to be totally effective for black flies, but for kids, you know, for children where you don't want to put a heavy duty, So I've given that to a lot of friends.
The Indians, I remember when they came over, one of us had sore gums, you know, and they gave us these little roots. Remember the bitter roots? It's called bitter root, I think.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
that
it's
works.
a little yellow thing like that, and you take one and you just chew it.
Literally. But it works. It really works. Because if you get cankers in your mouth or anything, you chew on that, and by the time you spit it out, the soreness is gone.
Gold thread is exactly what it implies. The root is a small thread of gold. It's very good for mouth problems, i.e. everything from gum disease to cankers to, you know, this type of thing. So imagine collecting hairs and having enough so that you can make a tincture to use. And it takes a long time. Like just to make a little bottle of tincture this high of gold thread, there's probably about 8 hours of work.
And it seems like a lot of these medicines they're multi-purpose. Both of these, plantain and arnica, for example, I've given them to people and they really help with arthritis, rheumatism. And there's one guy, I make him a batch every year or so of plantain, a great big batch, and his knee was all inflamed, and he put this on. He had me feel it after 20 minutes, and he said, you know, it wasn't hurting as much, and you could visibly see a difference.
The first oil that I made was with willow, red clover, cedar, and lavender. And willow, I used willow because it was a painkiller. It alleviates pain. And I used cedar because cedar is a heal-all, internal, external. It's one of the sacred medicines, and I feel I have a connection with cedar. Red clover was a skin conditioner. It's for scars and scratches and helping the healing of the skin. And lavender because of the calming, because of the soothing and the calming with the lavender. So I had used those, and there's no recipe. There's no 4 leaves of this and 2 drops of that. It's what you feel that if you feel that needs to go in, then that's what you put in. And I use an almond oil base. Almond oil is good external or internally, so it's a nicer oil that I find to work with, because if you wanted to put it on your lips or something, you don't have it. It's edible. We would use it on our cuts and our burns, and right away, you know, even both of my boys were stung 2 or 3 times last year, And after the first sting, they were just like, "Mommy, get your oil." My son was down at the dock and he'd stepped on a bumblebee. And he was screaming for me to get my oil. Like he was just like, you know, "Get your oil." And so it was so rewarding that this little jar that I had made, wow, was working like that.
Jewelweed is known as an antidote for poison ivy. So the oil is wonderful. Like I had a friend whose little daughter had a good dose of it on her face, and it really took down the redness.
See, I'm grateful for things like poison ivy, because to me, that's a guardian plant. It protects the plants. For people to going in to eradicating, they say, "Oh, it's poison ivy, don't go there." Well, good.
I made an essential oil out of yarrow as well for bleeding, and we did use this a couple of times last year.
The process of making a salve is so simple. You know, you either can use dry or fresh plant material, and basically you cook it, simmer it in an oil for hours, and you don't want to overcook it. Kind of gently, you know, the oil will turn color, and you know it's done. Like 4 or 5 hours at medium kind of heat, like a low oven, or I use a slow cooker, so maybe 4 or 5 hours on low. And you strain all that, and then to make a salve you add beeswax. So it's getting to know the proportion of oil to beeswax to get the right consistency. And it's wonderful to do. So this the salve that I made is from thistle. And it's something that I have tried to obliterate from my lawn for 25 years. Now these thistles grow at least as high as me if you let them be. They're the kind that have a big purple flower thing on the top. So I got my heavy garden gloves. I cut this stuff, and I used one mature plant, and I used a bunch of little ones. Now I just go after the little ones. It seems to be as effective. The salve is very good if you have like a tickling cough, you know, like it's not too bad. And if you rub this on your chest when you go to sleep, you're not coughing in the morning.
The first essential oil that I made, halfway through the fall, I decided to make a salve out of it. So that's the one that I used, the willow, the red clover, the cedar, and the lavender. I put it into that little cheese pot warmer, and I put beeswax in it. Beeswax has wonderful, you know, properties of antibiotic properties and healing properties as well. So I made a salve. So once I put the beeswax in it, and it was all liquid, I put it into the jar and sealed it. And all of the oils, all of the salves, I keep in the fridge because they can spoil. So this salve became even more popular than my essential oil. My husband uses it. He comes in from working construction, a scratch, a cut, you name it. It's wow. But what was so amazing that I found out this winter, that my mother-in-law, she came over in February, and she had shingles. And she was in so much pain, and nothing from the doctor was working, absolutely nothing. So I took a little bit of this out, and I put it into a container, and I said, I don't know, try it, see if it helps, see what happens. She phoned me like 48 hours later, and she said, I can't believe it. She said, the relief I am getting from your salve is phenomenal. She said, if it wasn't for your salve, I would not be able to stay sane. How amazing is that? I've just made a salve. I've been dabbling in medicinal plants for a year. I've just made a salve, and 2 people were ecstatic, had so much relief from a salve that I made by walking outdoors and grabbing some plants. So this is kind of like, I don't know, for my first year, that I'm really proud of this one, having pulled it together. I'm really, really, really proud of this one.
Okay, when I use the term medicine, we're not looking at just the physical aspect of things. We're looking at physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when you prepare a medicine, it could address any one of those, any combinations thereof, or all of the above. Okay, so it depends on how they're they're prepared and how they're gathered and what the person needs it for.
I think you'll find when you interview people, there are some who don't follow any First Nations spirituality and teachings, and some who do. And it is in our heritage.
On the medicine wheel, you have the 4 directions, and so 4 is the big number, and the 4 medicines are on that wheel, and they represent mind, body, heart, and spirit.
Sometimes it's easier to be said than done a lot of times, but you just have to find that strength within you to carry on, and that I believe is part of the Métis culture and upbringing, is you find the strength, you get your roots, and whatever obstacle you have, it's a learning experience, just another stepping stone in your journey of life, right? It's like the medicine wheel. You have different spokes that you travel through, and at a certain age, you're in that spoke, you know, so everybody has directions to take, and not all of us take the right ones, but every spoke is a learning experience.
The idea of a smudge is simply a prayer for purification. The idea of the smoke rising to the Creator before entering into a consultation about something important. People will do that to, and you'll see them waft the smoke over their ears so that they hear good things with good intentions, and over their eyes and over their heart. And the idea is purification and opening to kind of the voice of spirit. They'll have a little container, often a conch shell, and they'll burn the 4 main sacred medicines. So there's sweetgrass, tobacco, cedar, and sage. And I grow all of those. So I have my own supply.
Take the smoldering smoke and put it around yourself, and you know, you just are thinking is pure thoughts, you know, type thing, and remembrance of people that have passed, or anything you really feel like you need to think, and you cleanse your body. And you can have other people help you, you know, take the smoke around behind you if you can't reach it. And different degrees. Some people it's just a quick thing, and other people they really want to have the full cleansing.
Smudging in the old days was to blow the stink off you and get rid of the bugs that are in the house. Basically, it wasn't.
It was the thanks to the Creator.
Yes, to get rid of the bugs and the smell off of you. Also, what do you think? How do you think that's what they used? It's because they had to clean the house up, so they figured to smudge, and that'll get rid of the bugs. Bugs don't like smoke, so there you go. You do yourself, get rid of the stink, and you go out for a Saturday night because your bath wasn't ready till another 3 months. So you had to do something, right?
So are there certain plants that you use in the medicine bags?
Yeah, I use sage, I use sweetgrass, tamarack, birch, peas, corn. The peas and the corn is for afterlife, because that I believe in afterlife, and then when you die, this will give you a start in the next life.
And then I cut it all up. I get the little food processor, an old Indian method, and you put some tobacco and some sage and some cedar, and you put that in. You go, and you mix it all up.
A lady, I gave her a medicine bag, and she didn't put nothing in it. Finally, she threw it away because it was hurting her, it was bothering her. So she talked to me, she says, I have to get rid of it. I said, why? Well, it bothers me. I says, because you didn't put nothing in it, it belongs to you. That's why. Because it was still mine, so it was fighting between you and me. So, but now she's happy with it. Now everything, she's okay with it.
There's a bear claw inside of my medicine bag. It was given to me by a shaman. And I was told, even though I'm from the Eagle clan, that the bear is my protector. I'll bring out the claw again. I'm never without this, no matter where I go. Even at night, it's under my pillow.
Oh, excellent. Wow.
Yeah. Come on, where are you? Come on, little
Bashful.
Yeah.
There.
There.
So this tobacco was given to us, and it was given to us freshly harvested from our neighbor Sandy. So the boys and I, and actually my niece and nephew were here last fall, and because it's so wet, it's best to dry it, hanging. So we spent a couple of nights needle and thread, and you would stitch through all of the stems, and you just make these big long strings.
First we were using elastics.
We did, and you know
we
what?
found it a lot easier.
Yeah, there's one in here with an elastic on it. See, we did an elastic. We were doing elastics and then trying to string them together. Anyway, we ended up just doing one piece at a time. And then on our balcony, we had hung them and just kind of draped them almost like garland over the. And then it took.
You have a clothes hanger that has paper
the paper towel that we dried. That's right. We put all of up there.
There's still some on there.
There's mullein up there right now. I've got mullein drying. So it took about a month. It was so wet in the summer months, so it took about a month. It's like you open it up and it's just.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's really strong.
Yeah, it's not like
a beautiful smell.
It's not
what
like
I expected.
Exactly, it's not the cigarette tobacco,
No.
right? So, do you have your bracelet on, Mitchell? Show them the bracelet.
James has it. I gave it to James.
No.
I gave
I've
it
got
to
one
James.
up at the house.
I gave it to James, and he was playing it.
We got some bracelets from, I believe it was Ontario Aboriginal Awareness, something through the government. Anyway, it has the 4 colors: the black, the red, yellow, and white. And on it, it says, "Be tobacco wise, keep it sacred."
Cedar I use. I have cedar over my door to keep good energy in and bad energy out, and I will purify my place with cedar if I'm feeling like bad has been around me, and I put cedar in my tub, and so I have that handy. And I give tobacco when I harvest the cedar. It's traditionally women who harvest cedar, so I do when I'm out of the city. The cedar here so doesn't have the same kind of smell to it.
I harvest some things in the south here, but not all things. I found over the past 20-25 years that even the cedars have changed their smell, their taste, their color because of environmental stresses.
Water is the blood of Mother Earth, and it's what keeps Mother Earth and us alive. Without water, she doesn't survive and we don't survive. So water is the blood of Mother Earth, and it's just a sacred to me as some of the sacred medicines. I wouldn't be able to live where I live and do what I do without the blood of Mother Earth and being able to share with the kids. So if we don't have a fire going to be able to offer tobacco to a fire, then we'll offer it to the water of Mother Earth.
Okay, this is after a birch is dead. It's a fungus that grows on the side of it, and in the old days when they went from one hunting ground to the other, they light a piece of that, and they'll burn till there's none left. And it'll burn for quite a long time, and then you just keep on adding to it and put a little sage with it for smudging. And then this is a smudging bowl, like we use this for around our drum. And if we go harvest moose and that, we always smudge, and we always put some in the fire to give back to the spirit world.
Mom, remember when you tell them the story when you got the moose?
I remember I was saying during the harvest, right? Like I make part of the harvest everything, and I had a medicine pouch, and I wanted some fresh cedar to put into the medicine pouch. So through our walk, tracking the moose, I was coming across fresh dung, like fresh droppings, and you could tell it was just by the color and the feel and that type of thing. And there was this beautiful cedar tree, gorgeous cedar tree. So I took out some of my tobacco, and I had offered tobacco because I wanted to harvest some of the cedar for my pouch, for my medicine pouch. So I offered the tobacco, and earlier in the day I had offered tobacco, like I said, each morning, but when I felt that, so anyway, I'd offered tobacco. I'd put tobacco, and my rifle was actually slung over my body. I was so into the moment, right? And I offered tobacco and, said thanks. And took about 10 steps, and I was still in the moment, and something moved, and I looked, and I was just like, oh, there's 2 moose. I think I need to do something. So it was literally within, I would say a minute of offering, my last tobacco and harvesting some of the cedar that these 2 moose came out. So I was successful in harvesting, one of the moose at that time. And then that's when I went on to say how he went over and offered tobacco to the spirit of the animal and Mother Earth for harvesting it.
And she was the
that.
only one that shot a moose that year.
I truly 100% feel that it was a calling, like it's something there, whether, it's funny because the grandmothers talked about, when we're at the women's gathering, I was telling one of the grandmothers that I feel like sometimes I'm so different and so odd from my friends. And she said, because your spirit has been here before, your spirit's comfort is in the traditions. It's in that way of life. That's where its comfort is. You've done it before. That's why it comes so freely. It comes so naturally. And when it comes to the medicines, the medicinal plants, I do feel like the teachings that Sandy and some of the other women are sharing with me, it's listen to what is calling to you. Listen to what is speaking to you. Listen to what you're drawn to. And it will share with you. It'll share it with you and talk with you about maybe how you're supposed to do it or what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to pull it together.
The one thing I cannot overstress is respect for the land. If we don't respect that which sustains us, then we haven't learned much,
It's interesting because when I go up to around where I was born and all those little towns and things, it's a lot of the waterfront's gone. A lot of, because it's beautiful rocks and waterfront around Georgian Bay. It's all condos and apartments and housing complex. So where you used to be able to walk, it's no longer there. You can't. It's somebody's property now, right? So that's all gone. That's got to affect plant life and the animal life. Because this is houses. Because I keep thinking, what's left of it? Are they going to build around that too? So that soon people won't, animals and people won't have access to the water because it'll belong to somebody. There are times I wish I could make time stand still.
Well, sometimes I'll find a nice place in a bush where the earth is soft and, I'll gently part the leaves away and stick my face right into it and smell her. And it's important to me because she's the one that sustains me. And like I was saying before, I know the smell of my own birth mother, but I also know the smell of I learned it as the Shkikibikwe, medicine earth woman, the one that sustains us. So for me that's important. And it's a good reminder once in a while to say, don't forget, go back to the earth once in a while. Don't forget, don't lose that connection. And to quote some of my elders, the way they would say it, they wouldn't say that person's disconnected. No, they would probably say things like, I think the soles in their moccasins are too thick.
So I'm glad the stone has been turned over, that there's government initiative to give more respect, to have consultations, to include the Métis, the Aboriginal, First Nations, and the Inuit in consultation. And I hope that it will be done across Canada. There are still a lot of places you hear in the news, no consultation was done. So I really want to thank everyone who asked for consultation, to include the Métis. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and I'm sure the Creator will bless you and everything that comes from it. So thank you, Miigwech.
But we all went out one spring to walk watch the wreckers bring the last one down. And we think we can see clearly what the future will hold. But the land, it does pay dearly for our thirst after gold.